always put your name and your contact number on the front page of your business plan, because somebody might read it and really like it and want to call you.
Sure.
Okay, one piece of advice. I want to compliment you on a whole bunch of areas. Okay, so this is a nice report back to you. First of all, you've worked in the industry. That means a lot to anybody who's a potential investor who wants to help you. You actually have spent time learning about the business, hands-on. That's great. So that's number one. Number two, I love the targeting of the concept. It plays off a larger demographic trend and desire among the population. It's a good idea. I think everybody agrees with that. Number three, maybe I read this too quickly, but I didn't see a layout. When I see a store or a retail concept, you want to see a physical design on a piece of paper. It makes it real. A picture really means a lot to people.
Absolutely.
It really does. So add that. I really like the idea of the targeting of it all, but what I'm kind of missing a little bit is in terms of competition. There's probably a lot of people with gray hair like me who, when we were younger, it's not that long ago, we used to go to this place called Club Passim in Harvard Square, and it is this, and they've never expanded or scaled up their business beyond one location. I don't know what sort of lease they have. It's probably a lot more expensive now than it was 20 years ago, but they're one of the few clubs that stayed around for 20, 30 years.
Yep.
So in a way, they're the proof of concept for what you want to do. And I would have liked to seen that brought in a little bit. I have one last comment, then I'd like to hear back from you. The last comment I have for you, and it's something like this for somebody who's, I do think it's going to take $300,000. I think that's a very realistic number for doing a business like this. I also think that my colleague is correct. You got to put more down, and that's where you come to people who are angel investors potentially to help you do this. I love the fact that this is a cash business, that it's real money, it's real green in both ways, not to use a pun. And I guess that if I was on your board advising you, I would say to you, you know, Baird, if this thing works after 2 years, what we should really be doing is going after a much bigger hunk of capital to either open up additional stores in other college towns, or to look at some sort of, well, that's hard, a franchising concept. But I think for this type of unique thing, it's really something that has to be under your control. So anyhow, a lot of positives for you. I want to compliment your team a lot. Not only what you've put in the plan, but that you've actually invested your sweat and labor into learning about the business by working at Starbucks. So that's my comments for you.
You're taking on two trades that are extremely competitive, and so the management aspect of the business is going to be hard, I think. And you know what, Baird, when I read your statement about management and how you're going to organize your partner, it's it's hard to understand, and I wasn't clear exactly how you thought about the management of the business. I'll just read it, if you don't mind. It says, Mr. Caner will be responsible for most major company decisions about strategy and resource allocation because he's a visionary behind Emporium. And then you say, in keeping the 17 partnership, the partnership alive, however, he will discuss and obtain approval with and from Mr. Vinicor before any actions take place. And then so you say this method is effective because it reduces the risk of in-house conflict about what decisions to make, so that there will be no funding. You need to explain better. There's much more, and I could go on. I don't want to take the time, but
Sure.
That paragraph about management is not clear. I'm not sure that you have exactly clear how you resolve conflict between the partners. I'll say this, management is a big issue here for a number of reasons. For instance, in the live music aspect of the operation, interestingly enough, you talk about variable ticket prices. You'll decide to discount acts that are not as popular as other acts that have more elastic demand or firmer demand that have a following. And that's hard to do. How are you going to organize yourself to do that? How are you going to deal with the artist? How are they, variable pricing in the music industry is a tough topic. And part of the reason why we haven't embarked on it is that it's very hard to actually get it done properly. So that's my concern. And finally, the business is about location, location, location. You want to put a cafe with live music, and to find a right spot is going to be incredibly hard. I was happy to see that you had a good location in mind. The rent is very expensive. Again, you'll have the same problem as Michael have, very high fixed costs. But remember, Starbucks made its name by first procuring locations in a city and then branching out and I want a place here because I know that it's close to a T station and that the traffic. So that is key. If you don't get that, it's not going to work, I think. So it's a difficult business.
It is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, first of all, I want to say thank you very much for the submission. I really enjoyed studying it. In fact, I was so impressed with it, I thought maybe there could be some work that NEC could do with this one, because we would seem to be natural partners. So if you'd like to bear that in mind for the future.
Absolutely.
And
Can I make a pitch for Berkeley, okay?
I thought I'd get in there before Berkeley. And I assume that you'll be selling soy milk lattes as well. Yeah.
Only if you like soy milk
I
latte.
love soy milk lattes. So some thoughts for you. Just reading all of this. I almost didn't get past the executive summary. I felt that the executive summary was very sort of low key. Obviously, you need to be summarizing the business plan, but there needs to be some creative writing element in there. You need to have some marketing power. You want to be arresting my attention, saying this is the vision. This is how we're going to go for it. Yes, there are some weaknesses here, but this is how we're going to address it. By the time I got to the end of page 4, I felt all I had read were weaknesses, rather than how you would deal and capitalize upon your strengths. So that's just an observation for you. I liked the fact that it came across to me as being two things. It came across as being almost philanthropic, and it came across as being very idealistic. And I think you're right. That is very much to do with the time that we're just entering into. So I like those trends within what you write. Looking.
Can I ask, Baird, how would you distinguish it from Starbucks? Because you worked there. I mean, there's a live music component, but the implication is that in your mind that this is quite a different product. Just briefly, because I'm interrupting.
I think that the live music aspect is
That's
absolutely huge, because Starbucks, in my opinion, has created a very artificial environment where, I mean, everything from the artwork on the walls to, their recycling options to, their pricing is forced upon the people who walk in the door, and I'd like the Emporium to really draw upon the needs and wants of the customers who are coming in, because if you're coming into an eco-friendly cafe with solar panels on the roof, you're probably going to want something different than what they'd want at Starbucks. So I'm trying to think. I think that the live music aspect, though, sets it aside more than any other part of the business.
But it's to Tony's point that you've got to drive that executive summary and look for those differences and just because you've got the idea list, but you just got to put it in paper and drive the reader to why I'm different.
In your financial model, I was concerned about the fixed costs. I don't know how you overcome that, but you might want to read a book by an economist who I think is quite amusing, called Tim Harford. What's it called? The Underground Economist or something like that. He's
Undercover Economist.
Undercover Economist. And there's a wonderful section in it about setting up a coffee shop.
Exactly. That's
and
Starbucks stuff.
Yeah, and he's basically saying, who makes money from a coffee shop? And it's the renters of the space.
Yeah, right.
That's who makes the money. So your point of location is absolutely the way to go, and with it, up goes your fixed costs.
Thank you.
Thank you.